Okay, so welcome to the February 2024 Rapid Rehousing Ticketing System training facilitated by Advancing Connecticut Together, specifically the Rapid Rehousing team, and there may be some of the accounting and finance team as well. It's great to see everybody. I know it's been quite some time. Happy to see some old faces, happy to be acquainted with some new faces. My name is Brendan Colbert. I'm the training program coordinator here at Advancing Connecticut Together. And I oversee a large majority of training programs, training opportunities for the agency, which in turn is an extension out to you lot. So let's go ahead and get into it. What will happen is you will hear from several members of the Rapid Rehousing team, ones you interact with on a day-to-day basis, who will go over the particulars of the session, leave opportunities for questions, so on and so forth. So as always, we use the chat. There will be somebody monitoring the chat. Whenever I'm not speaking, I will monitor the chat to make sure everything goes through. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so as always, we always want our trainings to be an interactive experience. So if you are able to, please turn your cameras on if possible. We want to make sure everybody is present for this discussion. In addition to that, I pay attention to the extra particulars that Zoom offers, the raising your hand, the emojis, whatever the case is. If you use them, I will acknowledge them. Okay, so let's meet the team outside of an email that you guys see through the ticketing system. So what I will do, I actually ask each member of the team to unmute themselves and briefly introduce themselves so you can put a voice and a face to the name. I already went, so I'm at the bottom of the list. So Ismail, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ismail Colon. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here. I oversee the Rapid Rehousing team as part of my function here. So I am happy to be here with you guys and be of any assistance that I can.
Okay, Jill.
Good afternoon. My name is Jill Menard. I'm an accounting specialist, and I work with the Rapid Rehousing team in processing FSRs for payments.
Okay, Maria.
Hi, everybody. My name is Maria Diaz, and I'm a Rapid Rehousing assistant.
Angel.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Angel Cotto, and I am a rapid housing assistant on this team. And I just want to mention Kendra Quittant is an amazing person on this team as well. She's on leave for another month or so, so you will see her name and face again in the future, but she's just out right now.
And last but not least, Shamia, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shamia Cannon. I'm part of the Rapid Rehousing team.
All right, thank you very much. All right, let's do an icebreaker because there's never a good reason not to. So, I like this one. Okay, so if you were an athlete, and put an asterisk if you are an athlete, what would you choose as your workout, or excuse me, your walkout song? Curious to hear these theme songs that you lot have in your head. All right, well, I'll give you guys a couple seconds to come up with one. I am not an athlete anymore. I used to play baseball back in the day, but if I were to resume my title as a baseball player, my walkout theme song would be, and I may be stealing this from a bunch of people, but it will be Dreams and Nightmares by Sir Meek Mill. There's something about it that makes me want to just win. So Dreams and Nightmares would be my walkout song if I resumed being an athlete. Who's next? We got room for about 4 folks. All right, we gotta pick somebody. Oh, somebody unmuted. All right, so who do I want to choose?
Dave.
Okay, Sarah Ryan, how about you?
I had a feeling you were going to choose me because I don't really
Look at
have one.
that.
Why I was quiet. I don't know.
What's the first song you think
But
of when
that's
you want to
coming out of my mind is We Are the
Yeah.
Champions.
That's a
That's
good
it.
one. I'll take it. I'll
Yeah.
take it. Okay. David, what about you? Okay. Jill, what about you?
I'm in the same boat. I couldn't really think of one, but Eye the Tiger came to mind.
That's a good one. It's a good one. All right. So last but not least, let me go to another page. Let's see. I haven't seen some of these people in so long. All right, Maria, you got to close us out. What's the first one that comes to mind?
I was gonna say I'll pass the torch to Monica. She seemed like she wanted to answer.
Okay, Monica, what do you think?
I knew I was going to get picked. I also don't know. I can't think of any song I would choose.
Okay, what about a song that you would choose when you think of waking up in the morning and serving the community that you serve? What song comes to mind?
Um, I don't know. 'Cause I usually just play Pandora, like when I'm working out and such. I don't usually
Okay.
just pick a song.
Okay, well, that's an answer right there. You leave it up to the universe. You hit random and keep it pushing.
Yeah, it's on
So
shuffle.
we'll take that. We'll take that. Well, thank you. Let's go ahead and put this on the list of icebreakers to consider for next time. The superhero one works out a little more.
Turn
So
your camera off first.
I have one.
Oh.
You're gonna camera.
Wait,
Oh,
hold
boy.
on.
If I
Before
was an athlete,
wait,
I would have
hold on,
come
hold
out.
on, folks. Before real quick,
Try
if we're
this
not,
one, right?
can we make
Mhm.
sure that we're muted if we're not actively speaking? Thanks.
I would do Alien Superstar by Beyonce.
Okay. Okay. We'll take that one. Well, but it's an answer. It's an answer. So thank you for that. Much appreciated. Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty, folks. Okay, Angel, the floor is yours.
Sounds good. I was thinking Monster by Skillet for mine, and I love someone said Get Up 10 by Cardi B. So I just had to acknowledge Destiny's answer. But all right, into the processing timeline. So you'll see us talking a lot about just the steps for like submitting tickets. This is a lot of stuff that everyone here might know, might not know, may need a refresher. So the most important part, I feel like, of this presentation will be the questions at the end. So definitely think of any questions you have and write them down, and we'll have time for that towards the end. So this is the overall processing timeline. This is if no mistakes happen, if everything looks good. So a case manager submits a rental request to the community assistance at actct.org email, not to be confused with the ACT funds one. I know sometimes we get those two confused. And then after that ticket is submitted, the ticket gets assigned to a processor by somebody here on our team. Then that processing timeline begins. And so we'll be talking more about the different types of statuses in a little bit. Your ticket might be, it will be assigned, it could be approved, it could be put in pending status or rejected. But assuming that it is assigned and then approved, all these updates will be given via email. So you'll receive those emails for each of those different statuses. And then once it is approved, a check is uploaded to the client's file in HMIS. So that ticket is marked as check cut. That's one of the statuses that we've all seen before. And the email notification is sent to the case manager. And so after that happens, the submission is closed and the FSR is released. That's when you're looking at the FSR, the financial service request in the back end. The status of the FSR will be changed from pending approval and to approved in HMIS. So one thing I just want to know is that process can take a couple of days. So if you see that you got a ticket, if you got an email saying that your ticket has been checked cut, that means a check has been cut. It is probably in the mail already, but that pending status in HMIS for your FSR could still be pending for another day or two until that FSR is released on the back end. So that's the overall processing timeline, and we'll look at this again, but we're going to talk about some of the important documents that we all use when doing this. So the next slide we'll be talking about is the Rapid Rehousing Fund Request form, and Shamia will be taking that one.
Good afternoon, everyone. Everyone should be using the same documents. This document should indicate if the rental request is an initial, ongoing, or research. Please state which agency is submitting this request. You will also need to check the box to which funding source is being used for this request. You will need to indicate how many months the client has been in the program. If the payment goes beyond 12 months, please provide the necessary documents, which are exemption forms, inspection forms, and recertification forms. Under household composition, you will need to provide the client HMIS ID, the client's name, relationship to the head of household, sex and a date of birth. Under confirmation, please have both boxes checked. The first box states that you verify the landlord contact information and address is correct, and it is listed as it states on the financial service request. The second box states that you verify that the HMIS financial service request form is completed and that the funding amount matches the rental and utility calculation sheets is accurate. Sorry. The case manager should have filled in their information, which includes their name, which agency they are from, and phone number and email address, and please sign and date. This document will also need to be signed and dated by your supervisor. The second page. On the second page, please check off the funding source box again and the amount that you're requesting for rental service or security or utility request. And the next box. And on the checklist, it has initial requests. These are all the documentations that you will need for the initials, which includes the fund request checklist, income verification, the HMIS release information, utility, or for the utility request, please provide a copy of the utility bill. And on the utility bill, the account information should be visible so that the financial department can see it. The lease, the inspection, rental, reasonable, the FAWA lease form, the lead, W-9, and proof of ownership. For ongoing, you'll need the fund request checklist, calculation sheet, income verification. And for the recertification, you will also need the fund request form, the recertification form, and the I don't even know how to pronounce it, stabilization form, and the calculation sheet as well.
So Maria will be talking about the financial service request, the FSRs. So Maria, whenever you're ready.
Hi, everybody. So this right here is the financial service form, which is the FSR. And I just want to differentiate the difference between the fund request and the service request, which is the FSR. Sometimes I believe that some case managers get confused. The fund requests are all the documents that you guys typically fill out with all the documents that we need. And the financial service request is the document that you created in HMIS so that we could submit for payment. So when you look at here, we need to make sure that enrollment, the account name, and the provider all match. So we could submit here and make sure that the funding is correct. The status should be pending approval. If for some reason the status is referred, that means that it's incorrect. Make sure that you're either on the correct roll or make sure that the status itself or the service is correct. It says either utility allowance or it says what kind of payment you want to do. When you get to the payment area, make sure that it is either for the utility name, like this one is for Eversource, or that you'll have the payee name there. Make sure you include the address, the zip code, the city, and the state. And under the reference line, make sure you always have the month, the year, and what type. So if it's, for this one, they have utility, they have February 2024. But if it's also for an initial security deposit, make sure you include security and also include the year for it. And for whatever amount that you also include. Can you go to the next form for me, please? These are sometimes common errors that we see on the FSR. The FSR needs to be submitted before. Sometimes we just get the documents with no FSR, and this could be a form of you being submitted to payment. If you have a new property, we need a new W-9. We need the WAWA, the rental assistant, and the FSR needs to be submitted into HMIS. Please make sure the account name in the provider match the FSR. And the next screen, please. Should be going to Jill and she'll explain the W-9.
Good afternoon. In regards to W-9s, we ask that either the name and or business are listed on there. The name and business do need to match the FSR. You're also going to submit it with either a social security number or a business EIN that will be run through the IRS. And then please note that it can only be one or the other. It can't be both. And if there is any sort of change, whether it's ownership or a different address for the business or individual, we will need a new W-9 submitted. And that's it for me.
So it's back to me. So once again, when submitting applications, this is a little bit about the process and some of the things to make sure that you do. So we only need one email submission per rental request. So make sure that you're communicating with your processor when you're submitting an application. Don't submit multiple ones for the same type of payment. And also, if there's a mistake on there, only create a new submission if the processor requested, or if you're going to create a new one anyways to try to correct an issue. Make sure you let the processor know that you're creating a new ticket for that, because we only need one for each submission. Otherwise, there's a possibility for duplicate payments. Also, as mentioned before, submitting a request to the community assistance at actct.org. When you're submitting a request to that email, the subject line is very important. Otherwise, your ticket could be rejected. So the subject line always needs to say the HMIS ID for the client, the type of application. So whether it's initial, ongoing, recertification, or utility, the month and the year. So for example, HMIS ID 12345, ongoing, January 2024. So that is a subject line that is okay and will be fine. And yeah, and so if it's missing anything, it could be rejected. So as mentioned before, this will be assigned to a processor. You'll receive a confirmation email that your submission has been received, and then the ticket number will automatically be generated. Utility requests should be submitted separately on their own ticket. This is a new policy. Any ticket with both utility and rent will no longer be accepted. So that's been as of the beginning of February. If you have a ticket that is marked for utility and rent, we will reject it and you will have to submit it again. Also, just a note that For initial tickets, we only need one. I know in the past people have done two for first month's rent and security deposit, but an initial encompasses both of those. So if you have 2 tickets for an initial request, one of those tickets will be rejected. One last thing I want to note before we leave the slide is that uploading all the necessary documents every month helps us out a lot, and either that or properly labeling. And what I mean by that is if you're submitting 10 documents for an ongoing each month for rent, if we have to go around and look for that, like if we have to go look for proof of income or we have to look for the W-9, it can be hard. And if we can't find it, then we're going to have to email you back and ask you to like clarify where in HMIS that is. So if you could upload all the necessary documents every single month, that's a huge help to us. If that's too much, if you could just make sure every single time you upload a document to properly label, whether it's the VAWA, whether it's the W-9, whether it's something else, and that way when we're looking through the documents, we know where to find it. Next slide. All right, application statuses. So these are the different type of statuses that your ticket can be put into depending on what happens with the ticket. So most common one is approved and submitted to finance for payment processing. So this is once you get to the status where there are no errors, your submission will be reviewed and approved. That means that it has been forwarded to our financial department. Doesn't mean that it is going to, no matter what, get paid. It just means that our finance department is now reviewing it. Everything that we've reviewed looks good. So if the finance department sees anything that is an issue, like the W-9 or addresses or a vendor doesn't match what's on the financial service request or something else, then it can go into a pending status or sometimes TIN mismatch. But what a pending status is if there's any errors or missing information. If your submission is pending, you will receive an email detailing the information needed to complete the application. So, for example, if you have a TIN mismatch, we will tell you that the TIN did not match, and in order for processing to continue, we need you to correct that on the W-9. Or if there's missing paperwork, we will tell you exactly what paperwork is missing before processing can continue. Also important to note is that you will receive a systematic email every 48 hours until the information has been received. I know we've gotten a few complaints about emails that happen. I think it happens around midnight or sometimes on the weekend. That is not us. It is the system. So it happens every 48 hours. So if you get emails at 2 a.m., you should fix that, because I know that doesn't happen for me because I don't want to be waking up at 2 a.m. by a random email, but that email will happen every 48 hours, no matter what, if your ticket is pending status. So we can't fix that. I don't think anyone should have to deal with notifications while they're not under work hours. Case managers are responsible for uploading documents to HMIS, and please notify us when you do so. Whenever you resolve anything that we've asked you to do, let us know. We don't get any notifications. We don't know that you've made any changes to anything in HMIS, to the FSR. Anything you do on your end, we have no idea about it. We have no way of knowing that. So we are going to continue to leave you on pending, or just think that nothing has been updated until you let us know it has been updated. So as soon as you upload something, as soon as you fix the FSR, as soon as you get something from the landlord, let us know. And then the last status is rejected applications. So if a team member identifies an incorrect subject line, so it's missing the HMIS ID or the month or the year or type of application, your ticket will be rejected and a new ticket will need to be submitted. If a duplicate ticket is created, it will be rejected, and we request that people do not respond to those rejected tickets. Those tickets are rejected to let you know that it's not accepted. We're not going to respond to it. It's not assigned to a processor. So the worst part of those rejected tickets is that if you're continuing to communicate to us on those rejected tickets, no one's getting that. No one is getting any emails or any communication saying that you are asking for further assistance. So if your ticket is rejected, please create a new one if you understand why it was rejected. If you have any questions on why it was rejected and you don't understand, email Act Funds and I can further explain it. Whoever on Act Funds can further explain what is needed for that ticket to be accepted. Another thing, yeah, I already mentioned those two things. So let me see if I have any other notes. Nope, that is it for that slide. So the next slide is going to be utilities for Maria.
Hello, when submitting a utility request, make sure that you do the utility fund request. Make sure you have the calculation sheet and also make sure that you have a bill. And when you are putting a bill, make sure that the account number is clear. If it's not clear and we submit that to finance, finance will kick that back to us and we will request a new bill. The payment address in the FSR need to match as well. And on the reference line, make sure it has the month, the utility, and the year as well. And when you are requesting utility, we need a COC YHDP utility participant agreement. And if the client is opting out of the payment with the company, they will need to provide a W-9 to be paid directly. And what that means is that the client will be receiving a 1099 if the funds are over $599. Utility requests should be submitted separately on their own ticket. But if there is multiple utilities on one ticket, sometimes there's, UI and CNGs, that is okay to have it under one ticket. You could just put March 2024 utilities and those will be processed as just utility itself.
You're all set with that slide, Maria?
I am, and the next slide will be for the ACT funds, and that slide will go to Angel.
Yep, I'm sure everyone is tired of hearing me talk, so this is my last slide, don't worry, but ACT funds. So if there are any questions regarding a request after the ticket has been closed, so after it's been submitted to finance most times, but especially if it's been check cut, then you should email ACT funds. That is funds@act-ct.org. It is not to be confused with the community assistance one. If you have submitting a ticket, goes to the community assistance email. Asking a question, checking on the status of a ticket goes to ACT funds, funds@act. So that is our community resource. So yeah, that is not our community resource email. That community resource email is just for submission of rental requests. The ACT fund, some examples of questions you can ask is, I need to cancel a ticket submission. So for if any reason the client no longer needs rental assistance, if they have moved outside of the apartment, or if there is any issues with that, you can email ACT funds to cancel a ticket after it has been submitted to finance or after it has been check cut. If you're requesting the status on a check, so if you want to know where it is, if it's been sent out, if it's going to be paid, etc., you can check on the status of that. I do request that definitely see the ticket to see if it has been changed to the check cut status, and if it has, check HMIS for the check. It will have a check cut date on it, and usually that check cut date is the day that it was mailed out, if not the next day. We do use the United States Postal Service, so we can't really control when or how it is received. So we have no way of tracking the checks once they're sent out, and it really varies if your vendor lives within the state, if they live out of the state. We have no idea really how long it might take for that check to arrive. So all we can really let you know is that if that check was cut and that it's been sent out, and we can also see if it's been cashed as well. And for any reason you're having issues with checks, if they keep returning, or if they're just kind of late for whatever reason, you can ask for that check to be picked up in person, and you can do that through ACT funds. And you can also request a stop payments. When it comes to stop payments, if you're asking to reissue a check because it hasn't been received by the landlord, we do request, that is our policy, that you wait until 3 weeks after the check cut date before requesting a reissue. So we will be pretty firm on that. So a lot of times we see checks come back in the mail back to our office, and sometimes the landlords do receive it pretty late for no particular reason. So we request that everyone waits at least 3 weeks before requesting a reissue through ACT funds. But that is my last slide. Brendan, you can take us home.
Okay, one of the good things is the contact information has not changed. The direct phone number is still 860-247-2437. The department email address is funds@act-ct.org. Just to reiterate, that is the department
email address. So if you're responding to a processor for a specific case or request that you're working on, just respond to them through the ticketing system. But if you do have general emails, general inquiries, please email the fund's email address. And the department homepage can be found on Advancing Connecticut Together's main page. But there is a specific rapid rehousing website landing page within that. And it's the ones where folks have always used before. Let me just make sure. Okay, it's the process for landlords. Okay, Yolanda, let me get to the next page. We're going to open it up for questions, but you'll obviously be the first one. And just click, look at technology. All right, questions. So yeah, please unmute yourself, ask questions, but I would like to address Yolanda's first. Her question is, what is the process for landlords picking up checks in person? So I'll let somebody from the Rapid Rehousing team take that one.
So generally, we would not communicate directly with the landlord. If the case manager would like to pick up the check, they're the ones with the direct connection and relationship with the landlord. So if the case manager wants to pick up the check at the office, they would make those arrangements through the fund's email.
Perfect. Thank you. Randy's email, if we receive a notification that the check has been cut, can we expect, excuse me, that check will be sent in the mail that day, or will it be sent later?
So if it is marked as check cut, that means that the check, it is either waiting for the mailman to pick it up or it is already in the mail. So you can expect it to be that same day or the morning after. The check cut means that those checks are already cut, they're printed, they've been scanned, and we are giving you a notification that that check is on its way. Whether it's been picked up or not, it's on its way as soon as the mailman comes to grab it.
So just to touch a little bit on this question, Randy, there probably are very limited exceptions to this. So not that long ago, we were having some issues or delay of payments from DOH, in which case payments were held. So that's an instance where the payment is not sent right away if we have not received payment from DOH in order to cover all of the rental subsidies. But in that case, generally, I feel like, and I think we notified all of the folks to let them know that was happening.
I have a question.
Sure,
Oh,
Yolanda,
sorry,
go ahead.
Yolanda, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I see you.
Okay.
Hi. Oh, no, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Oh, okay. So quick question. When we are submitting the recertifications, it says recertification should be completed in the third month of receiving rental assistance and submitted with the month 4 request. And then again, in the 6th month and so on and so forth. Can you please maybe explain that? I know it seems pretty black and white. Are we submitting 2 FSRs at the same time, like month 3 and every third month is a recertification. So are we submitting the month 3 and 4 together? Are we submitting month 3 and then month 4 later? I mean, I've always, not always, but I'm a little confused about that. Can you explain that, please?
Yeah, so there is, yeah. So the recertification essentially means that we are, checking to see that this client still qualifies for these services and making sure that all the documentation is being done to track the client's progress. So on that fund request checklist, you have all the documents that you need to submit for that recertification. There doesn't need to be an extra ticket. There doesn't need to be an extra FSR, so financial service request and HMIS or there's nothing additional like duplicate documents that need to be sent in. It's just that list of documents that is on there. So the recertification form, the updated housing stabilization plan, those are kind of documents that aren't usually submitted that needs to be submitted on those every 90 days.
So you're just saying, so in month 3, when we're submitting the actual FSR, that the recertification is going along with that. And that's just for month 3, month 6, month 9, month 11. That's it. Okay, okay. I thought I was supposed to have been, and y'all probably seen my submission saying, what is she doing? But I just want to get clarification that we're just sending that in on that actual month and that's it. There's nothing extra going in month 4. Okay.
That's
Okay.
correct. 3, 6, 9, and 12.
Yeah.
Sorry, Khadija, not
Thank
cutting
you.
off. But I'm sorry, so the recertification is not due in month 4?
No, they're due in month 3. They're due every 90 days.
So it says it's to be completed within 90 days of the move-in date. So that would be the 3rd month, if I'm not mistaken.
That's not this.
So yeah, it seems there's some people are thinking differently. So that might be the month 4. So
Right, I've always been confused because I have my staff completed in month 3, but submitted with I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. That's how it says it on the thing, because it underlines 4
Yes.
to be submitted on month 4, but you do it in month 3.
So month 4 is the correct month. So 4, then it would be recertification on month 4.
So recertification should go in with month 4?
Yeah, so as Sue just said it there, Sue Garcia, they should be completed in month 3, but sent with the request for month 4. So that's the confusion there, where it's within 30 days of the move-in date is when it's supposed to be completed. So in month 3, you should already have done that for the client. And then in month 4, you should send that in for the processor to review. So that's the confusion we're having here.
Thank you.
Any
So I
other
have-
questions?
Yeah, I have a couple
Go ahead,
questions.
Khadija.
I believe it's for Maria. And you talked about the FSR and the fund checklist request that sometimes get confused. When you're submitting the utility, that would be 2 separate fund checklists?
When you're submitting a utility, you
For the
just
first
need to
time.
when you're setting a utility for every month, you need to do a fund request. So even like, let's say for March, you'll put in the top, you'll put monthly request, March 2024. You'll put whatever agency it is, you'll put the funding source, you'll put the month, you include all your information of the individual, the landlord, and then when you get to the second page of the funding, you'll put the rental assistant, the amount, and somewhere in that page, it tells you how much rental assistant you're looking for, and it also tells you how much you're looking into utilities, and that also has to match the calculation sheet. But you only have to do one fund request, and you have to make sure it also includes the utility. But the fund request and the service request, which is the FSR, 2 different entities, 2 different documents. The fund requests are documents that you are filling out, and the service requests are documents that you're creating yourself.
Okay, so but the email that you want then, you want the email to be 2 separate emails then, one for utilities and one for the request for rental assistance?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Yep, it'll be 2 separate emails.
Okay, that's for the same person. Okay.
Yes.
For Jill, the W-9, you talked about the owner and the business name on the W-9.
Yes.
The owner if the owner just wants the business name to be sent there, are we just telling him don't fill out both lines, just fill out just what you want on your check? That's it? Because they're filling the whole thing out completely, thinking you want every line filled in.
No, if it's a business, they can just fill out the business line. Just make sure they fill in the EIN and sign at the bottom.
Okay.
And be sure the address is correct as well.
Okay. Angel,
Kadia, but also you have to make sure that that matches the proof of ownership. So
Yes.
whatever he wants to get paid has to match the proof of ownership. It's not only what he wants to get paid. So it has to like all match.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Angel, she already answered the question about the email being two separate emails. So thank you for that. Thank you all three of you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
I have one question regarding the utility request. Should we be submitting a utility bill every time we submit one of those?
It would be helpful. It can be the same utility bill. The important things is the account number is clearly visible and it's not blurry or anything, and that it's there. It's honestly the two important things. So if you want to submit it to HMIS and just clearly label it as like Eversource bill for client, that's fine. And just submit it the one time as long as it's clearly labeled. But if you're submitting a utility every single month and you want to submit it with the documents, that's helpful for us so that we just have it there and we don't have to go look for it. Either process works.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I have one more question. January 17th, there was a check that was cut to a landlord, and it was being I guess emailed back and forth. But the check, I don't know. My question is, was it sent back to you guys and you held onto it and then mailed it out on January 30th to make sure nothing else was done, or was it a second check cut the exact same date?
So that's a very specific question that I can't answer without a little bit more information. I think if you want to ask funds just to clarify, you can. But usually we do not reissue a check unless there is a request for it, like something happens with it. So if for whatever reason the wrong information was put on it and we're informed that, or if like the landlord just never receives it and we don't receive it back at the office, we can reissue it. But usually the case manager usually requests that. So we don't usually reissue anything without contacting you guys first. And whenever we get a check sent back to our office, we always reach out to the case manager to clarify and to make sure that the address is still good, or if we should be sending it to a different address. So most times, like that back and forth always usually happens before we make a decision on where to send the check.
Hi, can I ask a question? My name is Manuela Cabral. I'm the case manager supervisor here at ARC in Danbury. We have a client who has been in and out of like ICU and rehab the last like 3 weeks. We haven't been able to communicate with the client. We've been talking to his sister. Trying to submit for his rent, but the recertification is due right now. So, as the supervisor, can I just approve this recertification for the client since like he's not able to speak over the phone right now?
That is more of a question for someone on the programming side. So is there someone who oversees the program in your area? Is it Jessica?
I've
Jessica
had that
Pibicki.
issue, and DOH was fine with it.
Oh,
As
yeah?
long as you get it as soon as you can, DOH is usually fine with it.
Okay,
Yeah, you
so
should-
just
you should be able to pay 90 days on a vacant unit.
all right. Thank you so much, guys.
Any other questions?
Yes, are we getting this information right here?
Which information? Do you mean the slide deck? Do you mean?
Yeah, so that we can have concrete information that we just be doing the right.
Yeah. I'm gonna send out the recording as well.
Yeah, we always upload the recording and the slide deck to our website. So when you go to the ACT website, you'll see all of the old ones that we should be getting rid of soon, and then the new ones will be uploaded.
Good idea.
Mhm.
Anything else? Any other questions, comments, concerns? Speak now. Okay. Well, I thank you all for taking the time. able to give you back a little bit of your afternoon. And just like Angel said, give us a couple of days, but we will have this uploaded onto the website. I'll also send the link out to the listserv on this communication. So I appreciate your time. Look back for us in about 6 months or so, or if anything happens in the meantime. But as you know, reach out to the Rapid Rehousing team through ACT Funds. And yeah, thanks for taking the time, and we will see you all soon.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Take care, guys.